Heather Williams has been known for many things: a powerful, driven career woman, a loving wife, the ultimate Flames fan, a dog walker for the Calgary Humane Society, and since April, a breast cancer survivor. Heather was diagnosed with breast cancer over 5 years ago, and that's when she knew her life would never be the same again. Cancer is something that virtually affects all of us, whether it be ourselves or someone we know. But today we're going to go beyond the label of a breast cancer survivor, for it is not enough to define someone's story. So in recognition of Breast Cancer Month, we are honored to hear Heather Williams' story of one of life's toughest battles.
The soles of our feet, yeah, they move through the leaves, broken free from that golden canopy. Our candles burning at both ends. We'll stay wide-eyed. We'll stay wide-eyed. 'Cause sugar would take heavy fire, but always with such grace. Sugar we've been taken by the way. Sugar we've been taken away. Let yourself be seen.
So you've been through a lot in the last 5 years. So can you tell me a little bit about what your life was like before you knew you had cancer?
Before I had cancer, I was very career driven, and I was battling depression. And I'd battled depression for 15 years, and got to the point where my health was more important than my career. And I took a leave of absence from my work and decided that I was going to focus full time on getting myself healthy and getting a quality of life back.
And what was the first day that you realized that you might have cancer?
We were vacationing in Maui, and we're just approaching that time now in October, and it was literally just after my 38th birthday, and I was putting on sunscreen, and I felt a lump on my left breast, and thought it was a little bit unusual. I did regular self-exams and showed my husband, had him feel it, and as soon as I got off the plane, I made an appointment with my family physician, and everything went from there.
It must be crazy to feel like you're on a vacation, one of like the happiest times to leave the city, escape, and it must be pretty terrible to come back from something like that to hear that you have cancer. So how did that change your life from that moment?
After you get through the initial shock, I'd been through a period of 5 years where I was in full-time therapy and refocusing on myself, and all of a sudden, you get through the shock and you decide, I have a choice to make. I can be a survivor of this, or I can be a victim. And I decided that all the therapy that I had done, I was going to use that as my catalyst. I was going to use that to empower myself and give myself strength to move forward.
And you also mentioned something that it's not, people are surprised that breast cancer doesn't run in the family. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I was aware of that just because of my mother's best friend. Brenda passed away over 20 years ago, and I was there for that journey, and so that was one of the reasons I did self-exams. And she had found hers the same way. Unfortunately, hers was further along. So I think for myself, I was aware of that. Then when I started to go through my own cancer journey, and the more I talked to my friends, my peer network, everyone was asking me, well, where is it in your family? Who has it? And that's when I decided to start being more vocal and sharing the research that I had done, that it's actually only 5 to 10% that's hereditary. And that's shocking to a lot of people. And I think by sharing that statistic, that's one way we can make a statistic very useful in helping educate women, families, and men, because they are susceptible as well. So I think that that's very, very important.
And from after, like, for the last 5 years, what were some of the battles that you were going through emotionally and mentally? aside from just being physically ill from it?
That's very interesting that you say that, because we always sort of focus on the physical side of things and how we look with the loss of hair, or how we look with the changes in our weight, or the water retention from the steroids. But emotionally and mentally, I had a turning point in my life. I decided that there's so much out of my control in this cancer journey. So what can I control? And let's focus on the things that I can control, and let's focus on being positive and directing my energy that way, because that's where I'm going to get strength from. And identifying the people in my life and around me who were in my company that could help me achieve that environment. Because I started to notice that some people would come around and they would be negative, or they would have anxiety, and they didn't even realize that they did, and that was even more draining than what I was actually going through. So you're going from coping day to day, or coping till your next treatment, and so how can I boost the environment around me to help me mentally and emotionally?
How did you use all that positive energy that you were trying to create for yourself? How were you able to make a difference in your own life?
I think by me being open and honest and sharing as much as I did with people and what I was going through, and that made it more comfortable for them. I've had experiences with friends, with family members who chose not to talk about it and their cancer situation, and it was just sort of like the elephant in the room. And everyone's journey is different. It doesn't matter what type of cancer you have or what treatments you've gone through, and you have to respect that. But I think that sort of takes the monkey off the back if you're if you're open to sharing how you're feeling. And if you're having a rough day, you're not being a victim by saying, you know, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm angry. You need to get those emotions out, but at the same time nurture the good ones that you have as well.
How were the reactions of both your family and friends? Did you keep some people close, or how did that dynamic change after you had cancer?
That's a really interesting one. I think when I was first diagnosed, I know that most of my family thought that, and I'd say friends too, that this was going to be sort of my ultimate demise, just because of my history with depression and how much I had battled for my life to that point. And thinking back on that, you know, you see their eyes, you see the expression on their faces, you can feel it in their hugs, but when you get through that initial diagnosis, you've got all these people around you, or you get through that first surgery and you've got all these people around you, and then it slowly dwindles, and all of a sudden you find out that there's people that are there for you initially but aren't there for you long term, because the real battle in my personal experience was after that was all done, after all the surgeries. And so you start to realize, sounds like a bit of a cliche, but who your friends are. And another survivor had told me that you're going to find out very quickly. And we focus a lot on the negatives of cancer and what it does to our life, but there's also so many positives if you look for the opportunities that are presented. And I've met some amazing people because of that, and I've developed some amazing friendships, lifelong friendships with people and bonds that I wouldn't have otherwise.
And now, how are you dealing with, since April, being done chemo? How has that been for your life?
I think when I finished, I had 6 months of chemotherapy, and I had 12 months of biological targeted therapy. And I think when I had that last infusion, it was just, it was surreal. I think back to that moment, and I dressed up at the Tom Baker, and I had, you know, heels, makeup, my hair done. You know, my hair just started to, you know, be growing back, and so I had, you know, a year's growth on that last biological targeted treatment. So it was pretty exciting and exhilarating, and just feeling like so triumphant, like I did this, you know, and I'm still here, and I fought. And then it's sort of after that, you sort of realize, oh my goodness, there's so much more to come. I'm a changed person because of this. And I think for me, that's when I sort of realized, okay, I've got the reconstruction ahead of me. And so when I got through the reconstruction, just over a year ago in April, that's when I decided, okay, now's the time. I need to move forward with my life. I need to not necessarily say finish this phase of my life, but make headway and see what I can actually do for my life now.
Good. And for my last question, what is some advice that you can give to others who are going through or have gone through what you've been through?
One of the most important things is hope and faith, and how much of a positive attitude can make in your journey. And when I use the word journey, that can be if you're going through treatment, if you're through treatment and you're in another stage of your recovery. And I think to utilize the support of people around you that want to help you, and utilize the people that provide you with positive energy, and fill your glass again for you, so that it's not being drained all the time. And having those people around you is going to make your life more fulfilling and a lot easier in getting through the more difficult times.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me here today in the studio. It means a lot for you to share your story with us, and I hope that it impacts our audience in either a personal or a second-degree level. To donate to the Breast Cancer Foundation, go to cbcf.org.